The Cossack 38 is a melodramatic Shakespearean tragedy whose cries of sorrow will echo through the ages. This ship makes no sense if it is in any way meant to resemble the Tier 8 premium British destroyer called Cossack on World of Warships PC. I know World of Warships Legends is not a direct copy of World of Warships, but every ship in this console game, with few exceptions, originated on PC, and many ships with what you might charitably call questionable tier placement in World of Warships Legends share the same core characteristics as their PC counterparts. A good example of this is Jambar, a ship I own in both games and have played extensively. The Jambar is on PC a Tier 9 premium, and the Jambar on Legends is a Tier 7 premium that seems to share exactly the same characteristics as its PC counterparts. It's almost a direct translation, in fact. The only difference is the Jambar on Legends gets only 2 main battery reload boosters, where on PC it has 4, and its main battery range of 20-something kilometers on PC is reduced on Legends to a sub-20 kilometer range, although that is basically true of all battleships in Legends, so it's essentially irrelevant. The point is, some higher tier premiums are faithful readaptations of their PC predecessors on console, and some are absolutely butchered in the process of readaptation. It's almost like when the decision was made at Wargaming to bring the Cossack to Legends, someone originally said, okay, we can do it, but we have to make this PC Tier 8 premium British destroyer fit into Tier 6 instead of Tier 7 on Legends. And if we give it 6 British smokes, British hydro, an engine boost, 4 torpedoes with a 10 km range, and 8 guns with a 5-second reload, it'll be way too powerful for Tier 6. That would certainly be true. All of those consumables and the kind of main battery firepower would just be way too much for a Tier 6 destroyer in Legends. Plus, the Cossack on PC has god-tier maneuverability with its tight turning circle, lightning-fast rudder shift, and the unique ability to actually gain speed in a turn where other ships lose speed in such a maneuver. So what could be done to defang this sublime vessel and make it fit at Tier 6? The original answer was to replace one of its main battery turrets with a meme-worthy secondary, take away the British smokescreens, and nerf a couple other details. The result? A mediocre Tier 6 premium that people only play for the secondary memes. I don't have the numbers, but I suspect the original iteration of the Cossack in World of Warships Legends is not one of Wargaming's most successful products. But then, sometime in November of 2021, Wargaming floated the idea of re-releasing the Cossack in a different configuration. I had hoped that what we'd be getting was a Tier 7 configuration of the Cossack that was much closer to the Tier 8 version on PC. Instead, we got another variation of how can we rob this ship of its unique identity in order to shoehorn it into Tier 6. This time, they elected to allow the vessel to keep its 8 main battery guns. Gone was the useless Mimi secondary, and in its place, these 8 guns got to maintain the base 5-second reload that they enjoy at Tier 8 on PC, along with the exact same HE and AP Alpha and the same base fire chance. Oh, but if that sounds like too much for Tier 6, certainly something else had to be done. So what they did was artificially restrict the firing angles on these guns in order to prevent the player from bringing all 8 of the guns to bear without giving almost flat broadside when going forward. As you can see, though, the guns can be gotten more easily on target when you are kiting away. But still. And then furthermore, they limited the gun range to 10.1 km, and they were sure to take away the hydro and the British smokes. So, in the end, what we have here is an awkward gunboat at Tier 6 that feels artificially handicapped and too potent at the same time. That's what the Cossack 38 feels like to me. This ship makes no sense. There is no reason I can think that it shouldn't have been released at Tier 7 in exactly the same configuration it has on PC. It would not be overpowered. It would be perfectly in line with the other Tier 7 destroyers in terms of its consumable suite and main gun firepower, although it would be lacking in torpedo firepower, but that would be fine. It would also be a much more fun experience, albeit one that would probably scale with player skill. The PC version of Cossack certainly has a higher skill floor than other destroyers, and the same would probably be true of a hypothetical Tier 7 version of Cossack on World of Warships Legends. So I don't think the concern could possibly be that it would be overpowered. Maybe the concern is that Legends has its own vision. It wants to do things differently than PC. Maybe I would buy that argument if we didn't have ships like Jean Bar, but I don't buy that argument. I especially don't now that Tier 8 is a thing. If Tier 8 was not added to World of Warships Legends in order to allow the devs to spread out higher tier PC ships across more tiers on the console version of this game, then I don't know why Tier 8 exists. So, this has all been to say that I highly recommend you do not buy the Cossack 38. There is no reason to buy this ship, unless you're a really good destroyer player looking for a little bit more of a challenge. If that describes you, then by all means, purchase and play this DD with its hands artificially tied behind its back. As for me, I don't think I would even consider buying this, and I don't know why Wargaming is bothering to sell it. I can't imagine that it'll be much more successful than the first iteration of Cossack. And as it stands, they've begun to directly sell Tier 7 premiums for doubloons at high prices, and there is no Tier 7 premium British DD. The Cossack could fill that gap in the product line easily, and I can't imagine that it wouldn't be successful. It's one of my favorite destroyers on PC, which is why I'm so disappointed to see the premium version we got here. I would gladly and enthusiastically recommend it if it were a Tier 7 premium, but this, I don't know. Sorry, Wargaming. This, to me, smells a little bit like bullshit. Don't buy the Cossack 38, ladies and gentlemen. That is my advice. It's not worth it. But that's not to say that it's an atrocious, useless ship that you could never do well in. Clearly, that's not the case. You absolutely can do well in it. We're doing pretty well in this game. We're in fact going to end up getting the high caliber medal, and we've done a lot of damage with the main battery guns, and that is because the guns, despite their artificially handicapped firing angles, are actually quite potent. But the point is that this could be a far more interesting and effective outlier at Tier 7, as well as a long-awaited and well-deserved Tier 7 Premium British DD, which this game is sorely lacking. We have no Tier 7 Premium British DD. This would be the perfect candidate for it, but no, we can't have that. Instead, we have this rather anemic Tier 6 version that some people might enjoy playing. Hell, I mean, I had some fun with it in this game. This game was actually quite a refreshing turn because I hadn't been able to get a especially good game in it up until this point, which I think speaks to the overall efficacy of the ship. That's not to say it's bad, but it's not going to be consistently good like it would be if it had, British sonar, 6 British smoke screens, and the rest of it. I still wouldn't buy it. So, that is to say, I'll end it with this. Wargaming, you gave us a mediocre version of Cossack on the first try, and here you've done it again. Why not make the third time a charm? Give us a Tier 7 premium version of the Cossack with 6 British smokes, sonar, and God-tier maneuverability, which includes fast acceleration and the ability to gain speed in a turn. You can even keep the torps at 8 kilometers and remove the engine boost you want to. If you did that, it would still be a fantastic Tier 7 premium British DD, and a unique one. One that would be, I suppose, set apart from the main line as well, in the sense that it has more guns and less torpedoes. There's no reason I can think of why this shouldn't be a Tier 7 premium destroyer with its PC configuration. If anybody can come up with a good reason for why it is the way it is here on World of Warships Legends, feel free to let me know in the comments section, and let me know what you think of this British destroyer, because I'd be curious to see your comments. Are you planning to buy it? Are you going to stay away from it? Let me know. I'm curious to hear. And also, I think before we end this game, it would be a good idea to pause on our rant for the Cossack for a minute and just take note of what's happening here. It's a 3v3. We have 851 points. The enemy has 210. We hold all 3 of the capture circles. There's no possible way for the enemy to win without sinking all of us. So the thing to do is to retreat. We don't need to win harder. We're already winning. So trying to play aggressively could result in our ship being thrown away and us therefore throwing the game. We've realized this perhaps a little bit too late. As you can see, we are now sailing away from both the Belfast and the Suzuya, and we are dangerously close to the Belfast. We're within his radar range. There is the radar. One thing that can be said as a positive for the Cossack 38 is that while it does not have the same god-tier maneuverability it enjoys on PC, it is quite maneuverable. The turning circle is very tight, the rudder shift is responsive, you can easily dodge a lot of cruiser salvos, and that is going to come in handy here with both the Belfast and Suzuya shooting at us. It is going to save our ship, in fact. We deploy our last useless smokescreen. These are not British smokescreens, of course. These are, I think, the German smokescreens with a stupidly long reload time and an anemic deployment time. They aren't very good at all. We've also exhausted our engine boost consumable, so we have nothing left but our guns and our torpedoes. But we are at 962 points, so all we have to do is wait for a few more seconds to pass, and the game will be won. Unless, of course, the Suzuya can take out one of our cruiser teammates. Can he? We're trying to get some fire on that Suzuya. Slipping out of the smoke screen, though, so obviously we don't want to shoot our guns here and be spotted with only 6,500 hit points left. That's another thing. The hit points on the Cossack at Tier 8 on PC can be brought up to 18,000 rather than 14,800. That is, of course, with the commander skill on PC that works the same way as William Sims's base trait, where it gives you X amount of HP per ship tier. Anyway, this ship is just a tragic disappointment all in all. We get caught by the Suzuya sonar, by the way, leaving it a little bit too late. We're going to have to run now. Not sure exactly what the range on the Suzuya sonar is, but with the island between ourselves and the Belfast over there, only the Suzuya can shoot at us. So hopefully we'll be able to make it out by wiggling and jiggling the ass end of our destroyer and avoiding those Suzuya shells. They only come in every 9 seconds or so, so it shouldn't be that difficult. And if we can turn right past this island, we'll be able to put this rock between ourselves and the Suzuya and keep our 4,100 hit points to ourselves, allow this game to end. The points ticker has reached nearly 990, less than 1 minute to go in this game. No way for the enemy team to win. Nice example of not trying to win harder, although you could argue that we almost did throw there. With our proximity to the Belfast, things could have gone a lot more differently. I suppose that does speak to the maneuverability on this vessel being pretty good, but my non-recommendation still stands. I really wouldn't buy this destroyer. Wargaming, why on earth couldn't you release this as a Tier 7 premium? Please, do so in the future. I would heartily recommend it if you did. Hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.